Yogurt has one of the strongest health reputations of anything in the grocery store. Not ice cream, not candy, not soda. Yogurt. People reach for it when they are trying to eat better. Parents pack it in kids' lunches specifically because they believe it is a smart choice. Dietitians recommend it. Doctors recommend it. It has been sitting comfortably on the good list for decades, and the food industry knows that. They have built an entire business model around it. Here is the problem. A number of the most popular yogurt brands on store shelves are nutritionally closer to dessert than to the food people think they are buying. The packaging is specifically designed to prevent that from being obvious. The health language on the front, probiotic, high protein, low fat, live cultures, organic, is doing a job. That job is not informing the consumer. That job is moving product. This video covers 10 brands worth reconsidering, and 5 that actually hold up when the labels are pulled apart. The research behind this was cross-referenced across multiple independent sources, including the Environmental Working Group, alongside FDA records and consumer health publications, all data as of early 2026. One brand on this list was the subject of a nationwide voluntary recall. It is a children's product.
If you've ever been to the yogurt aisle, you know there are more options than ever.
Yeah, it can be a lot to look at, right? Consumer Reports has the scoop on how to choose the healthiest and tastiest yogurt.
Starting at number 10, El Mexicano Saborico. El Mexicano has a real story behind it. Started as a small operation in 1981 selling artisanal Mexican cheeses and creams, the Saborico yogurt drink carries that heritage front and center. Real fruit, grade A milk, 7 grams of protein on the label. It looks like a product a family has been making the right way for generations. Turn the bottle around. The strawberry yogurt drink comes in a 207 milliliter bottle, the kind of thing that gets finished in a few gulps on the way to school or work. That bottle carries 20 grams of added sugar. Red 40 and Blue 1 are both listed as colorings. Research has raised questions about both in relation to allergic reactions, and Red 40 has been specifically examined in studies looking at hyperactivity in children. Artificial flavor appears on the ingredient list alongside the real fruit claim sitting on the front. The protein number the front leads with is accurate, but the rest of what the label reveals was not part of the pitch. For a drink marketed heavily to families, that gap matters. Number 9, Chobani Flip. Before going further, a distinction needs to be made. Chobani as a brand will appear again later in this video on the good list. What is being discussed here is specifically the Flip subline, the mix-in format with candy and cookie toppings. Same name on the container, completely different product. And that is exactly the issue. Chobani built one of the strongest health reputations in the yogurt aisle. It popularized Greek yogurt in the American mainstream. It positioned itself for years as the clean, simple, high-protein alternative to the sweetened brands. But the Flip line is borrowing that reputation to sell something else entirely. The S'mores Flip carries more than 20 ingredients, 3 separate added sugars, brown sugar, honey, and cane sugar, all confirmed on the label. Palm oil is in there too, an ingredient linked in nutritional research to concerns around artificial trans fat content. That flag does not appear anywhere on the packaging. The trust built by the plain product is doing marketing work for the candy-topped one. That is how brand equity becomes a liability for the consumer. Number 8, Noosa. Noosa is a masterclass in premium positioning. The origin story is Australian. The packaging is clean and considered. The price point sits higher than most of what surrounds it on the shelf. Whole milk, real fruit puree. Everything about the presentation signals that this is a product made by people who care. Something worth paying more for because it is simply better than the standard options. And that is exactly what makes the label worth examining closely. In some of the most popular Noosa flavors, total sugar reaches around 30 grams per tub. Saturated fat in certain varieties approaches 9 grams. Some flavors push past 300 calories per 8-ounce container. For something positioned as a premium healthy food, those numbers belong in the dessert aisle conversation, not the health food one. The premium aesthetic is doing the health signaling. The nutrition label is telling a different story entirely. A brand at this price point, with this level of health positioning, has no independent verification on file. That absence is its own kind of answer. Number 7, Dannon Fruit on the bottom. Dannon is one of the most familiar names in American grocery stores. The red logo, the fruit photography, decades of shelf presence. This is a brand people grew up with. Their parents bought it. Their grandparents bought it. That kind of familiarity is incredibly powerful, and the brand knows it. But familiarity is not the same as transparency. On the strawberry fruit on the bottom variant specifically, the second ingredient on the label is cane sugar. It appears on the label before the cream, before the food starch, before the natural flavors, and before the actual strawberries. That ordering is not accidental. Ingredients are listed by weight, heaviest first. Cane sugar outweighs the strawberries in this product. Approximately 4 teaspoons of added and natural sugar per serving. Modified food starch and non-specific natural flavors sit further down the list. Traditional yogurt made from milk and live cultures does not require either of those to achieve its texture. Their presence reflects processing steps that move the product away from what the front of the container implies. Number 6. Silk almond milk yogurt. Plant-based, dairy-free, almond milk. These 3 descriptors have become shorthand for health in modern food marketing. They carry an automatic assumption of cleanliness, lighter, purer, better for you. Silk's entire positioning leans into that assumption, and it works. People choosing this product are usually doing so because they genuinely believe they are making a smarter choice. So what does the label actually say? Cane sugar is the second ingredient. 4 teaspoons of added sugar per serving. Protein comes in at 5 grams, considerably lower than what a standard dairy yogurt delivers. The calcium and vitamin D listed on the nutrition panel are synthetic additions, rather than nutrients naturally present in the base ingredient. Standard practice across the plant-based category, but worth knowing when the whole product is positioned around the purity of its plant-based origin. Among all the brands reviewed in this research, this is the one that came back with the highest ingredient concern flags from independent testing. Number 5. Oui by Yoplait. The glass jar changed everything for this product. Before Oui launched, Yoplait was primarily associated with the plastic cups in the dairy case. The glass jar repositioned the brand entirely. Suddenly, it was French style, artisan, the kind of thing that sits on a brunch table rather than in a school lunch bag. The kind of thing that implies simplicity and craftsmanship just by existing in glass. That jar is doing an enormous amount of work, and it has nothing to do with what is inside it. The dairy-free vanilla variant, in a single 5-ounce jar, carries 8 grams of saturated fat. The American Heart Association recommends keeping saturated fat to around 13 grams per day for most adults. One small jar, the size of a snack, not a meal, delivers roughly 60% of that daily limit. Alongside that saturated fat, 1 gram of protein. Authentic Greek yogurt typically delivers 15 to 18 grams per serving. This product delivers 1. The glass jar is a packaging decision. It tells the consumer nothing about what is inside. And what is inside, when the label is read carefully, is a long way from what the aesthetic is selling. Number 4. The Greek gods. The name is doing marketing work. The word honey is doing marketing work. And the phrase Greek yogurt style, printed in smaller font, easy to miss on the front, is doing legal work. The Greek gods built a premium identity around the suggestion of authenticity, ancient name, premium positioning, and the honey framing is particularly calculated because honey carries a health halo that plain cane sugar simply does not. Many shoppers see honey on a label and instinctively categorize it as more natural, more wholesome, less of a concern. That perception is exactly what the branding is built around. But look at the ingredient list on the strawberry with honey variant. Cultured pasteurized grade A milk, cane sugar, cream, brown cane sugar. The research consistently shows that honey, cane sugar, and brown cane sugar behave very similarly once consumed. The name changes, the effect does not. Now back to that word, style. Greek yogurt style is a different legal category from Greek yogurt. It exists specifically to allow a product to use Greek yogurt in its branding while not being required to meet the protein standards of actual strained Greek yogurt. Authentic strained Greek yogurt typically delivers 15 to 18 grams of protein per serving. This product delivers 5 grams. That is not a minor rounding difference. That is the core nutritional reason people choose Greek yogurt over regular yogurt. Number 3, Dannon Light and Fit. This is where the story gets particularly worth paying attention to, because Light and Fit is not positioned as a treat. It is not marketed as a dessert or an indulgence or a fun snack. It is positioned directly and specifically as the health-conscious choice. the choice for people who are actively trying to do better with what they eat. Light, fit. Those two words are making a promise. So what is actually in the vanilla Greek non-fat variant? Fructose appears on the ingredient list, modified food starch, acesulfame potassium, sucralose, natural and artificial flavors, potassium sorbate, 2 artificial sweeteners present in a product sold on health credentials. High intakes of added fructose have been linked in research to fatty liver and metabolic problems. This product is marketed specifically to people trying to improve their health, and the mechanism it uses to deliver the low-calorie promise may be quietly working against the very thing yogurt is supposed to support. Number 2, Yoplait. Most brands have one problem, one product line that went too far, one flavor that pushed past what the brand should be doing. Yoplait built a system. There is a Yoplait for every kind of health concern. Whips for people who want something light and airy and feel virtuous eating something mousse-like. Original for people who want classic and familiar. Light for calorie-conscious shoppers who want yogurt without the guilt. The range is engineered to have an entry point for every type of health-motivated consumer. The Whips Cherry Cheesecake variant carries approximately 6 teaspoons of added and natural sugar in a single serving. Modified cornstarch in the ingredient list. Potassium sorbate, emulsifiers, hormones flagged as potentially used in dairy production, a finding that does not appear anywhere on the packaging. Multiple potentially genetically engineered ingredients confirmed across the product lines. What is consistent across this entire Yoplait range is not the health story. The health story changes by subline. The marketing rotates to reach whatever concern the consumer is carrying that week. Different packaging, same product. That is what a system built around marketing rather than nutrition looks like. Number 1, Yo Crunch. Yo Crunch does not try to hide what it is. The candy is the point. Oreo, M&M, Twix, Snickers. The brand built its entire identity around putting branded candy toppings into a yogurt container and calling it a snack. This is candy-adjacent food marketed heavily toward children, and the brand is comfortable with that, which is exactly what makes what happened in July 2025 so significant. Start with the label. The M&M variant carries approximately 7 teaspoons of added and natural sugar in a single serving. That is one of the highest figures found across every yogurt reviewed in this research. In July 2025, Danone US, Yo Crunch's parent company, announced a nationwide voluntary recall of Yo Crunch yogurt with topper products in cooperation with the FDA.
More consumer stories that we're following for you this morning. Starting with this, check your fridges. That's because Danone is recalling all of its flavors and sizes of Yo Crunch products nationwide.
The reason? The potential presence of plastic pieces in the dome topper, in the component that sits directly above the food, in a children's product. The recall notice was posted to the FDA's official website. Viewers should verify the current recall status close to the time they are watching this. Statuses can change, and this video cannot update in real time. A brand whose entire marketing strategy is built around candy toppers for children. Also the brand with a plastic contamination notice on the FDA's website for a children's product. Those two facts live on the same shelf. That is the number 1 spot. Here is the reality about yogurt that the previous 10 entries make easy to forget. Yogurt itself is not the problem. Real yogurt, made with clean ingredients and proper fermentation, is genuinely one of the more nutritious foods available. High protein, beneficial bacteria, calcium. The problem is not yogurt. The problem is what has been done to yogurt in the name of making it more profitable. Every brand in this section starts from a different place. The ingredient list is simple, because the product was built to be simple. The fermentation does the work. Nothing is engineered around sugar hits or calorie illusions or shelf life chemistry. The ranking is not about which is the most nutritionally pure. All 5 are genuinely solid choices. It is about which is easiest to find and buy tomorrow. Number 5. Siggi's Plain Whole Milk Skyr. Siggi's is technically an Icelandic skyr rather than a Greek yogurt. A different classification, though the texture and nutritional profile are comparable. What matters here is what is on the label of the plain whole milk variant. 3 ingredients: pasteurized whole milk, pasteurized cream, live active cultures. That is the entire list. No added sugars, no stabilizers, no anything that requires explanation. Siggi's is not carried everywhere. It sits in a premium segment that requires more deliberate shopping than most of the brands covered earlier. But for anyone who finds it, there is nothing to decode on that label. Everything in it is listed. Everything not in it is absent because it was never added. Number 4. Maple Hill Creamery Plain Greek Yogurt. Maple Hill Creamery Plain Greek Yogurt has 2 ingredients: organic milk and live and active cultures. USDA organic certified. No antibiotics in production. No hormones in production. Independent ingredient review found nothing to flag. No concerns of any kind identified for this product. Looking back at the bad list, the artificial sweeteners, the modified starches, the palm oil, the fructose, the colorings. The gap between those labels and a 2-ingredient organic yogurt is not subtle. Maple Hill's distribution is limited. The price point is higher. But for anyone near a store that carries it, the plain unsweetened cup makes its case in 2 ingredients without requiring any additional explanation. Number 3. Chobani Whole Milk Plain Greek Yogurt. The same brand name that appeared at number 9 on the bad list is now at number 3 on the good list. The lesson here is not that Chobani is good or bad. The lesson is that a brand name tells the consumer almost nothing about what is in a specific product. The Flip has more than 20 ingredients. The plain whole milk has one ingredient: cultured milk. That is the complete list. No artificial anything. Chobani Plain Whole Milk is nationally distributed. Available at virtually every major grocery chain, convenience store, and gas station in the country. For anyone currently buying any of the brands from the first half of this video, this is a swap that requires no new shopping habits. Number 2. Faye Total 2% Plain Greek Yogurt. Faye has been producing Greek yogurt in Athens since 1926. That is not a marketing story borrowed for the packaging. That is a production lineage that predates most of the brands on this list by decades. Across all the sources reviewed for this video, Faye Total 2% Plain appeared more consistently than any other brand on the good list. Grade A pasteurized skimmed milk and cream. 5 live active yogurt cultures. No artificial or industrial ingredients. Approximately 1 teaspoon of naturally occurring sugar. 17 grams of protein per serving. For anyone looking for a single swap to make this week, the research points here more consistently than anywhere else. Widely available, transparent label, and a nutritional profile that looks exactly like what yogurt was always supposed to be. Number 1. Wallaby Organic Plain Whole Milk Greek Yogurt. The number 1 spot on the good list belongs to the product that came back the cleanest across the full research set. 1 ingredient: cultured, pasteurized, whole organic milk. Independent ingredient review found 0 concerns. Not low concerns, 0. No artificial additives of any kind. Nothing was flagged because there was nothing to flag. Now compare that to what appeared earlier in this video. The Greek gods with 3 sugar sources and a protein level 1/3 of what Greek yogurt should deliver. Dannon Light and Fit with 2 artificial sweeteners in a product sold on health credentials. Yo Crunch with 7 teaspoons of sugar per serving, and a plastic recall on the FDA's website. All of them carrying health language on the front. All of them with labels that tell a different story on the back. Wallaby's front and back say the same thing. No artificial sweetener substituting for removed sugar. 1 ingredient. Third-party certified. The cleanest result in this entire research set. That is what the baseline for yogurt looks like. Links in the description below for everything mentioned in this video. 3 things to check on any yogurt label. First, where sugar appears. Ingredients are listed by weight, heaviest first. If any form of sugar shows up in the first 3, cane sugar, brown cane sugar, fructose, honey, the product is built around sweetness before it is built around nutrition. Second, artificial sweetener names. 2 to know: acesulfame potassium and sucralose. Both are used to hit calorie targets without adding sugar. Both are the subject of ongoing research examining their relationship to gut health. In a product being consumed specifically for gut benefits, that connection is worth knowing. Third, the word style. Greek yogurt style is a different legal category from Greek yogurt. It carries no protein requirement. Anything calling itself Greek yogurt and delivering under 10 grams of protein per serving is worth reading all the way to the bottom of the label. Authentic strained Greek yogurt typically delivers 15 grams or more. That gap is not minor. It is the main nutritional reason people choose Greek yogurt in the first place. One number to check: protein per serving. It cuts through more marketing language than almost anything else on the label. The yogurt aisle is one of the most misleading sections in any grocery store, not because every product is dishonest, but because the language of health has been borrowed so broadly that it no longer reliably signals anything. Probiotic, high protein, live cultures, organic. All of those words can appear on a label sitting next to an ingredient list that tells a completely different story. The information is available. It just requires someone to look at the back of the container instead of the front. If this breakdown was useful, subscribing means the next one comes without having to go looking for it. There is another video from here worth watching. Same process, different category. Findings just as worth knowing. Stay informed.